It's a sad box. It's a soap box. It's Fanbox.
Well, hey there, sugar. This here's Lenore Zan, and you're watching Fandoms.
That's right, you are watching Fandoms. Welcome to Fandoms. I am Tony, and with me always is Will. And we are back in action because it's been a little bit of a time since we've done one of these. I think it's actually back in October, I think.
It's been a while.
It's been a minute. Really, we're gonna keep it simple. What was it? It's like the KISS method when it comes to like getting back into the swing of things. Keep it simple, stupid, and that's the goal tonight. We're gonna be talking about two main topics, and we're gonna kind of pass the baton off a little bit, Will. And if you want to explain what's gonna be happening after we're done with Fandoms tonight, because we're just gluttons for punishment. Go ahead.
First of all, I just want to send out my apologies to my wife. Basically, I just kind of dropped this news on her because it's much easier to beg for forgiveness than ask permission. I'm amazed we've never thought of this before, because typically Netheads happens on a Thursday night and then Fandoms happens on a Friday night. One plugs the other. It's great. Tonight, however, we're going to do something completely different and totally insane. We're doing back-to-back podcasts. We're going to go from It's Fanbox right here with Fandoms, and then we're going to hop over to the Netheads on Air channel and do an episode of Netheads with two diametrically different show concepts all together. So it'll be interesting and fun. It'll be nice to see if we carry anyone over other than Zach ZB in the chat.
And exactly. And I just wanted to just say real quick, faithful as always here. Absolutely love you, man. Now I will just, you apologize to your wife, and I appreciate you doing that, because I have to apologize to my family for this entire weekend, basically.
Great.
Because we're doing this. We're doing Netheads next. And then Sunday, we have TARDIS Talk at 2. So if you're a Doctor Who fan and you want to watch us talk about, we're talking about episode 2 of the new Who, so Ninth Doctor, the end of the world. And then right after that, I'm on the Real Study with Mr. Snippets and gang. Talking about Alien and Alien Romulus, because what happened was, I'm thinking, we're getting in the mix of doing the Doctor Who stuff. I want to get Fandoms going again, and the website is coming along, and we'll kind of show that off in a little bit. But ultimately, I had tried to schedule with Real Study like later on in the month, and Snippets came back and said, really, that late in the month? Like, you don't want to do it sooner? I'm like, well, I mean, you could do it the first or on the second. And he's like, yeah, let's do that. I'm like, okay. So that's
yeah. I know that's understandable, because mind you, when they did Kevin Smith month, I committed, and again, I was apologizing to my wife, because I committed to almost every weekend for the month that we did that. I think it was the month of November, maybe.
Yep.
And also, like, I have to first, we have to remember to plug TARDIS Talk over on Netheads. It's all just getting intermingled. But yeah, I understand. You got to market yourself, and you want to get the word out there. Make sure people are paying attention. That's the beauty of podcasts and other podcasts. I mean, that's the reason why celebrities will go on other celebrities' podcasts. Either they've got something to market, or they are marketing their own podcast and hoping for cross-pollination. And the only thing is, I don't know at this moment in time if I'm going to be able to make TARDIS Talk too, because last weekend was a dance competition, because my daughter has been put off for 3. You guys are listening to all this minutia, and I'm so sorry. You're like, what's with this spider? How on earth are we having Spider-Man controversy? Right. And you want to talk about it, and you're like, oh man, did you see Superman's face? I get it.
Honestly, in the 2025 bingo card, anything is possible at this point.
Yeah, so you got to listen to the minutia. You got to let me lean in like this, guys, and just and hear it from the horse's mouth, if you will, or the pumpkin's head in this case. Listen, my last weekend dance competition, so I wasn't able to make last weekend. That just was not happening, and definitely not because I don't know what happened. My wife had one of like those bad migraines. I ended up having like stomach issues. It was a wonderful Sunday. Definitely couldn't make it. And this one, my daughter's been put off so many weekends now for having a sleepover with one of her friends over. Like it's been a next weekend thing. So like I may still be shucking pancakes with Mickey ears on them, you know, at the time when TARDIS Talk is happening. So we'll see. Hopefully I'll be able to be there, but you know, just know in advance why I may not. That is all.
No, and you know, it's
also
funny.
after all this nonsense we're doing, immediately after we finish those two things, I have to set up the entry if I don't sneak it in while we're doing the show, because at 8:00 tonight, Kevin Smith and Mark Bernardin are doing Fat Man Beyond, and amongst all their other content, they're also running a charity event for LA fire recovery. So
right.
So you know, it's like crazy weekends, man. My Friday is hitting and it's slamming, but you know, you're taking a beating, my friend. So
it is what it is, you know. And I'm refreshing the website because so let me just say this. If you are watching and you want to check it out, I would recommend going and checking out itsfanbox.com. Itsfanbox.com. It is in the beginning phases. I kind of feel like what was going on when we first started Nerd Nation, with the exception of the fact that I voluntarily did this. We weren't kind of stuck with, you know, a website that didn't work because the developer decided to take the money and run. And so I learned from that and I was able to do some things. And what's really funny is if I show this to you right now, this is going to be like existential in a sense.
You're running a public alpha. Oh my God.
We're on the website, actually embedded in the site right now. So
oh my gosh.
Now it's even wait
for it, guys.
Here it comes.
This is an Ouroboros
moment.
No! It's just gonna keep till eventually there are nothing but us and Fanbox embeds.
It's a box
over
within
YouTube.
A box within another box and another box, and it's just gonna keep going.
There
it goes again.
That's and Tony, that's Inception.
Yes.
Thank you. I always got to. Anytime you get multi-layered like that, I got to say, you know, like that's Inception. So yeah, I got to set up the entry for that to publish as well. So for Kevin Smith, that's going to be fun. So so if I get a little glossy-eyed and you can tell because the camera's right there, I'm looking at your face, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, over here, you know what I'm doing. Let's just put it on Front Street, okay? But it's okay because you've got some topics to talk about. I have my I'm 50 years old kind of input, and you know, we'll go from there. It'll be fun. It's going to be an interesting adventure.
Absolutely.
Is what I think.
No, because you know what it is? You just throw things. I always like the idea of you're shotgunning it. You shotgun everything out in the world. You see what sticks, and that's kind of like how it's going to work for us. And obviously, I can tell what you're doing because I can see it in your glasses. But regardless,
yes, I can never use any. I've got so many damn monitors around me. The one giant
monitor.
Yeah, and one thing I have to do while I'm broadcasting is ensure that I don't open up any web page that, heaven forbid, won't conform to my dark mode, and I don't trust the plugins to run everything dark mode, forced or not. If I'm on a site that's got a white background for the site, you can just tell because that's all you see in my glasses, my face. I basically become Nosferatu without the sexy mustache.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So let's get back on topic. We're gonna reel this in real quick and get this.
That's what you think. See, you say something like that, and sir, I suddenly say, I see the gauntlet you have thrown. I dare you to contain me.
Oh, well, we'll see. So regardless,
we'll see. Actually,
regardless,
he can turn my window off at any time.
I know I can mute you too, which is fun. But regardless, I keep saying it. So what we're doing tonight, we're just getting back in the swing of things. This is going to be very low impact. There's no extra content, no extra videos. I'm going to be.
You didn't have to stretch in advance of this.
Exactly. This is like the appetizer to stuff that's coming up. And honestly, if you like anything that we're doing here, please be sure to like and subscribe, turn on notifications, go on It's Fanbox, bookmark it. It's fanbox.com, bookmark it, check it out, what's going on. Because honestly, we're going to try to get things moving and shaking. And honestly, we've got some great people, especially with TARDIS Talks. It has been a thought of ours for a while to cause this podcast or this show to happen, mainly because it's just been a Discord channel or a Discord chat between a group of us who love Doctor Who, and they've been geeking out as I have been experiencing it for the first time. And so we're talking through and everything else. So definitely check that out. It's fanbacks.com. Check out TARDIS Talk. It's on all the podcast platforms, and it's gaining traction because it took a little while for Apple Podcasts to pick up on it, and it's steadily showing promise in the podcast downloads. So yeah,
I don't mean to call myself out here. All right. However, I have not been able to enjoy episode 1 yet. And my only question is, how much of it is talking about the episode? And then how much of it do you start tittering about when you know that there are elements you're seeing in Run or Rose? I always think of it as just Run because hello, Rose, Run. How much of it gets into like the tittering about things to come? Because the synths
there is a bit of
are,
it. Yeah.
Technically speaking, the synths that we see there be in the first episode become why am I bringing this show up now? I'm sorry. But they end up becoming like what Rory is at the end of 11th's first season. You know what I mean? The cysteine, not cysteine,
the autons,
whatever.
Yep.
Yeah. You know, it's just like wow. It's interesting to see how these writers carry ideas forward. But please, we're getting back into the swing of things. We're going to get it back on topic. And
all right, can you see me real quick? I just want to make sure because like everything started slowing down for me for a second.
I can see. Well, you appear to be frozen on me. Welcome to
I am
customer support.
My name is Will. Oh, everything. There we go. Okay. We're back. We're back to business as usual. Yeah. Okay, I'm back.
Okay. So that's what that nice long awkward moment was, guys. Me trying to determine, wait a second, am I the only one here? Did I get disconnected or am I the only one here now? So much so that I was just going to the website or to YouTube to see if I was just staring at the world.
So like Will, you talk about having multiple screens and everything else. And I'll be honest with you, I think I just overwhelmed my computer a little bit because I have three monitors. I didn't realize that I had my vertical monitor that was running the website and then running the video at the same time, the horizontal one doing the same thing. And then the last one that's right next to me before I get to this, doing the production side of everything. And so I definitely overloaded my computer a little bit there with way too much streaming the same thing. Inception, that's exactly what it was. So, okay. So where was I going before you were talking about? Okay.
We were starting about getting things back on track.
Yeah.
And we've got 2 topics to discuss tonight.
Yes. But back with what you were asking about TARDIS Talks. Yes, we do teeter a little bit into the future of the content. We did try to focus and stay on. We talked a lot about, I actually found, and I don't know if you know about these. I don't have one near me right now. But there are actually these Doctor Who figural magazines. It was a subscription service where you could buy little miniature characters from Doctor Who. So like the Daleks, the Autons, the Slitheen, and literally whatever the figure was, the magazine was focused on that episode. And so I found the Auton magazine at a used bookstore in Virginia here, and it was only 50 cents. And so I bought about $15 worth of these magazines. And so I don't have one for the End of the World, but I do have one for the Slitheen that's coming up with episodes 3 and 4. And like there's just lots of fun little things. And one of the interesting things, and since you haven't seen the episode, I'm gonna spoil this for you. We were talking about the scene where Doctor Who is fighting with the mannequin hand in Rose's apartment. And I had thought he was playing with just a mannequin arm that maybe had a little bit of articulation, and he was doing the whole thing where like, it's grabbing him. It was literally a guy in a green screen like costume. He was in a whole green suit with just his arm exposed, and it was just. And I'm sitting there going, that guy was paid way too much money to do that one thing when he barely moved his hands. All he's doing is going around with Eccleston. And so I'm like, okay, this is funny. I like this. This is enjoyable. And then there's a whole thing about Rose being like a bronze medalist in like junior women's gymnastics or something. And so like that's why she swung from the chain. But I think that whole part got like lost in translation in the show. But it's a lot of fun to look at it. So it's definitely worth a listen to, and it is picking up traction. So it's a lot of fun. And then again, after that, watch me on Real Study. But we want to go ahead and talk about what our title is for. This episode is called Mudslinging Webslinger, and it's mainly because there's a little bit of controversy. I don't know if you watched it, and if you haven't, that's okay. But I do highly recommend.
Oh, I have. Yes. Are you kidding me? I was literally. Look, man. Again, I don't mean to show my hand here, but addictively scrolling on TikTok. I'm not saying Marvel didn't do a good enough job advertising, because it was like advertised in front of episodes of Skeleton Crew, which I've gone through, right? So I have no excuse except, maybe that skip button. But I'm scrolling through TikTok and I'm like, hey, that's that new Spider-Man cartoon. Flick again. Oh, that must have dropped today. Let's put this down. And immediately went into it.
Yeah, and I'll be honest with you, like I was gonna wait on it. Like I had not renewed my Disney Plus subscription because I was gonna wait a little bit, and then I saw some of the clips on TikTok, and I was like, let's go ahead and renew that. I want to go, spend some love to the web crawler. But let's talk a little bit about this Mudslinging Webslinger, and it's specifically because in this show, this amazing show, which I think does a great job of paralleling the MCU's Spider-Man, but at the same time giving us a different take and showing us what a Elseworlds or a multiversal version of Peter Parker and what happens to him is all about. It had a little bit of controversy that came into play because of the voice actor that plays or does the voice for Peter Parker on the show. And it's this guy right here, and Hudson Thames is his name, and literally the entire focus of the ire of fans are basically saying that his statement about being afraid that the show was going to be annoying and woke. But it was amazing. He said it was amazing after he read the script. And a lot of people are like, this is not what we need at this day and time. And of course, my favorite tweet, or my whatever because there's X now, was someone going, it's really bad when you make Shamika Moore look good in this day and time, because of his creepiness that's been going on. It's like, it's not a good time for voice actors for Spider-Man. But regardless, it did upset a lot of people, especially for the fact that the word woke was meant to be an empowering and a dog whistle to really point out issues when it came to racism and sexism.
Man, I just want to live in a world where I can just watch me some new Spider-Man. Okay.
Yeah.
I don't want it to come with any potential agenda. I don't want it to come with any particular controversy. And you know what? I'm just going to sit down and watch it and not take any of that. And it's already been renewed for a second and third season. So you know what? It'll work itself out. Just give me this by the way, in case you guys haven't watched it, this very Elseworlds, this I think they've specifically referred to it as like in a part of the MCU multiverse. So this is a multiversal Spider-Man story. So some things are different, and I'm okay with everything that I saw on the screen. I was disappointed to learn that there was any type of controversy associated with it. All right.
It's funny though, because Into the Spider-Verse was groundbreaking. It was fun. It was fresh. I loved it. You didn't hear anybody complaining about a gender swap. Well, I didn't hear any complaining about a gender swapped Doc Ock. I thought it was done really well. I thought it was genius. I think it even sold it more for me, because I was like, okay, I think it was more because not only did they go the different gender, but her tentacles were they were literally like laparoscopic, like large size laparoscopic, like tentacles that you would use in surgery. It made a lot of sense. But then when you had, it's like it's like my name, Doc Ock, and it's like, yeah, but my friends call me Vi or V or
Liv.
whatever it was. Liv, that's what it was.
My friends
And
call me
then-
Liv, which you're gonna say it. Never mind. Go ahead.
And then of course all the villains break into May's house, and she's like, oh great, it's Liv. And I'm like, I love that. I love that there's this like connective tissue that goes throughout it, and you felt like it was an established world even though you're just visiting it for the first time. I like what they're doing with Dr. Connors. I feel like Dr. Connors is immediately a likable character. I love that, she's not even going into the whole like it was always like it was like tongue in cheek with Dr. Connors and all the other iterations, because he's always only looking to save his arm. He wants his arm back, and he's always doing genetic changes. This Dr. Connors, we don't know if she'll ever get to that point, if she's going to be,
which I'm okay with, man.
But she's working on like power cells. I love the way Norman Osborn looks and how he's acting in this. Like, I get a much more proactive like Osborn, and the fact, I don't want to spoil it for anybody who hasn't seen it yet, but the way they turned to the end of the second episode, like, I wasn't expecting that. Like, I was thinking,
let me just say, the part of this that I especially love, is the fact that this Spider-Man is portrayed, and I can say this without being spoilery in any way, he is the most brilliant idiot teenager.
Yes.
Which is what, early Spider-Man kind of was, with the things he would do. So I just, it's very endearing to me, especially as I mean, like, that part speaks out to probably just every awkward nerd out there, but he has just enough hubris, just enough charm to actually be more likable than the awkward Peter Parker in high school that we were introduced to in Amazing Fantasy 15 and thereon.
Yeah.
So, it's just I like a lot of what I'm seeing, and I'm
absolutely.
Yeah.
And I love how they did the whole origin story, like, real quick. Like, it was like a moment,
which is a moment I wanted to see somewhere in the Home trilogy.
Yeah.
I just a reference to it, and I think at most Peter just says, oh, well, things have been rough, and that's all that we got.
Yeah, and
was wonderful to hear.
Ben. He mentioned Uncle Ben, which I thought was good, and like, you can tell they've just kind of gotten for this. I love the loving nature between him and May, and I'm hoping that they don't go the route that they did, but something tells me that they may end up down that route if they keep going with further seasons to, like, what was that in No Way Home. But I love what I've seen so far. I love the parallels to Civil War and to the end of the first episode. I loved the parallels of him saving the bus and stopping the car. And now it's almost like we saw that clip in Civil War, and now we kind of get a background in a different universe of what it actually was like.
Right.
And so I love those things. And let's face it, this Peter Parker, he's in a better costume than our Peter Parker did before, Tony gave him one.
Dude, let me tell you, the first time I saw this costume, Tony, what do you think my first thought was the moment I saw it?
Oh, it's a typical teenager.
No.
That's what I thought.
Here's my first thought. My first thought is, oh, we're going to see a lot of that cosplaying.
Oh, yeah. I didn't even think about that.
Just instantly. I'm
the moment Box Lunch or somebody else sells it, like, it's going to be in the Disney store before the end of the season.
And it's a hockey jersey, man. We got to get Kevin Cross promoting somehow.
Oh my goodness. Yeah.
Anyway, but no, seriously, I mean, I haven't even looked, but I guarantee you right now, either on eBay or Etsy or something else, there is somebody that is already selling a printed version of that jersey.
And
you just know it.
To that person, whoever it is, just send me your bank account information so I can just direct deposit my paycheck to you, because that's basically where it's going.
As the kids say.
Oh yeah, it's like,
here
it is. No, but so there was that controversy, and honestly, I'm glad it didn't overwhelm. I think one of the I put a quick article on itsfanbox.com about it, and one of the things I shared was, like, I think one person said, I'm going to still watch this show to support everybody else. We may not like what Hudson Thames said. But that doesn't have to affect our enjoyment of the hard work and the dedication of someone else. And the writer did come out and say he misunderstood and he's been dealing with, realizing what he did and the impact of what he did. But it would be nice if the actor himself would actually say that.
You know what? No. And here's the reason why. And I mean, look, I know it's not good, the optics of this appearance and what I'm about to say, but just bear with me for a moment, okay? I think although woke has become a politicized term, I think it still is open enough to be different things to different people, okay? So he may not necessarily have understood the true impact of what he's saying. I'm just saying that potential is there, but this man is not standing trial, okay? Yes, in the court of public opinion, but he's not standing trial. So, we don't have to justify the context or anything else. It's a bummer that it's occurring, but it's one of those things where I learned here it is. I can sum it up really quick, believe it or not. My generation, Tony, had to learn a very painful lesson very quickly, which is we had to either separate the actor from the performance, or we would forever not be able to watch the original Naked Gun movies featuring one Orenthal J. Simpson. Okay. Yeah. So there is a certain point where it's like, okay, this happened, but still, in some ways, we need to separate the performer from the performance and just go into it. I mean, if you don't, you go in to Wakanda Forever like I did, having a chip on his shoulder. You got to let it go. Yeah. If anything I've learned from everything I've been through in the last 2 years, you got some things you just got to let go.
Yeah. So I can understand a bit of that. I do think that in this day and time, using that term the way it was used, it would be different if you would have said, I was afraid that people were going to call it annoying and that they were going to try to say it was woke. But
ZB in the chat has an excellent point. He's like, he could have easily said preachy instead, way less charged of a word. I mean, it's true. It's true. And the thing is, I think to a certain degree too, I alluded to one item, and I think certain fandoms are probably exhausted with many things right now, and just to have another situation like whatever her Giancarlo, or I can't remember her name, but the one from The Mandalorian, right? At a certain point, much in the same way of everything right now, Gia Carano. We get exhausted by it all. We just want to enjoy a thing. Yeah. Damn it.
Yeah, sorry. I get that. Yeah, and so it's one of those things where it's kind of like, yes, does he deserve to be canceled? We'll find that out. That's the court of a public opinion. It's not our place to really judge. It's just we just report on what's going on.
Hey, man.
But I will say, it would not a good look, and I get where people are upset, and I'm not gonna knock that. But I do say there are lots of amazing people that are doing this show, and the show has been done really well. And the amazing is pun intended, but I enjoy it, and I would highly recommend watching Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man.
And I'll just tag in one last thing. Solar Opposites and Rick and Morty taught us very important lessons that you can get a vocal performance from somebody else that might kind of sound like the same thing. So
exactly. Yeah. And that's the great part about it.
That's the other thing too, is unfortunately, I mean, like hearing it, you're like, I really like this guy's Peter Parker. I like what he's throwing down, because it has hints of Tom Holland, but sounding like what you would imagine Peter originally sounded like.
Well, he was originally the voice for the Marvel Zombies episode in What If Season 1. So
yeah,
we already had gotten used to the voice. And again, it doesn't really matter too much, because going a deep dive real quick. I binge watched the entire series of Superman and Lois, and yes, it was jarring when I got through with season 2 and jumped into season 3, and Jonathan Kent is casted by a different person. And I understand the season before had been very heavy on him. He played a big role in it. And then, of course, what happens, mental exhaustion, and he had to take a step back and do that. And I understand that. And I highly respect anybody who focuses on making sure that their mental health is in a good place. And so they had a new actor, and I didn't like him at first, but by the end of the third season and going into the fourth, I liked him. I was used to him more, and I was okay with him.
Dude, you sound like every Doctor Who fan as we've transitioned from their favorite Doctor and regenerated into the next one. Like, but I
did not do that with any of the Doctors except for Capaldi, because it was so jarring, the demeanor between the two.
Exactly.
That was the only thing, but that was the writing. I don't blame Capaldi, because I was looking forward to it, because when I heard that there was a Doctor that played the electric guitar, I was all in. Like, I was ready for it.
And you know what? Some things just need to be perceived so that way the creator can do certain, because if you think about it, like Capaldi early on is he's just mean and rude, right?
Yeah.
But by even the next season, okay, like tonally speaking, they're firing on all cylinders, and they got some heavy stuff to do in that season too. So,
remember, it was the episode when he realized why he had the face. That was the moment for him.
Yeah,
I think at that moment, I'm like, okay, I'm all in with this Doctor.
Yeah.
And then of course, the whole, when he was like at the, guarding Missy's like cell, the vault. I was like, I was struggling a little bit with that, but that was story wise. So,
yeah. Well, that whole season was it was entertaining and good, but you could tell it had at that point Moffat was just, I think, stretched too thin on it. Not that it didn't give us some of the. Oh no, I'm still thinking of the season before. Oh my gosh, Heaven Sent and Hell Bent. Come on.
Oh yeah,
I can't wait. I'm gonna be.
We talked a little bit about that. We just talked about my reaction, because on the last episode of TARDIS Talks, we were talking, and I was saying how I was like getting to an episode, and everybody was like, "Well, wait till the next episode." I'm like, "Wait, I was gonna go to sleep," and like, no, you gotta finish this. Yeah.
Jody, thankfully, you did not know me when those episodes happened, because there were several people in my life that would text me asking me, what do you think about that? And my response via text was, I'd say that's one hell of a bird. I just, and they don't know why I'm saying it. Much of the audience right now doesn't know why I'm saying it, but it just, anyway.
And it was
what were we talking about?
No, we were talking about Spider-Man, and we're going to go ahead and move on. We've got one more topic to go. So with that, let's continue with the complaints. And I have something to say about the whole of what.
The complaints. That's right.
Yes.
This is like a bitter lemon episode.
Yeah,
show me your lemon face.
But it's okay, because it's an important topic to bring up.
We
talked about Marvel. We talked about Marvel. Now let's go ahead and talk about DC. And DC's complaint from a lot of people.
Distinguished competition, the guys down the street.
A lot of people have complained about the most recent trailer of the Superman movie, mainly because of way I think.
Does this look natural, by the way? Do I look comfortable?
Yeah.
Okay, good. I just want to make
sure. The way David Cornsweet looks in these flight scenes, and it's like, well, he looks like goofy, and a lot of people were complaining about the CGI. And James Gunn came out and said on social media that this was practical. It's a wide-angled lens. Now, mind you, he's not actually flying through the sky. I imagine that there were, different types of ropes and things, and there's a composite, but he's very much in that motion. Whereas
to be
a lot
clear,
of the
you're saying all of this is practical, right?
Yes.
Everything you're seeing there, because clearly he's not zipping through a part of a canyon. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
What are people? You know what? Society, I gotta say, again, you gotta relax, man. You can't make a Superman. They let James Gunn make if you want a Superman, okay, just give it a chance, will you? Relax.
Yeah.
My God.
And honestly, I think what happens is there are, and I know this because even some mutuals that I have on TikTok and other things, there are individuals that are extremely critical of James Gunn. Has nothing to do with how the alt-right attacked him back in the day where he got fired, right after Infinity War.
Mm-hmm.
But it's more so of they don't like his style and everything else. I mean, let's face it. James Gunn has a very niche style to the way he does things, very similar to how Kevin Smith has a niche style of how he does his films.
Very true.
Like it's very much, you can tell the personality of the director or the writer based on what they do. And Kevin Smith loves the work that he does, and so does James Gunn. And so, it's funny because my kids watching the live action Scooby-Doo movies, and that was, for some people that was their first interaction with James Gunn. Could have been Slither. It might have been, I think he was executive producer on the Belko Experiment. There are lots of other things that he's done. He was involved in Brightburn, but of course he's most well known at this day and time for the Guardians of the Galaxy trilogy, which I think is quintessential best trilogy in the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Yeah.
Full stop.
Yeah.
So it's interesting because it's a lot of people are concerned that he's going to just turn the DC characters into the Guardians, and he does, and that tells me that they don't have a lot of, and I hate saying this because I don't want to be gatekeeping, a lot of comic literacy when it comes to that, because he turned the Guardians of the Galaxy live action into something that was very reflective of what was in the comics. And I feel like he's going to show that same respect with the DC properties. He did a great job with the Suicide Squad. He did phenomenal with Peacemaker. I've met James Gunn. I've met Peter Safran, the CEOs of DC Studios, and just talking to Peter Safran, he is enamored with James Gunn and he loves the work that he's done. He was at the Volume 3 premiere and just gushing over what James had been doing, and was super excited because he had known some of what James was working on with Superman. And the only complaint that I would have in the Superman movie that I have seen so far is I really think that the Guy Gardner haircut is way too goofy.
But dude,
I'm willing to give it a chance because I know that's where he's going with it. Nicholas Hoult as Lex Luthor looks amazing.
Oh yeah.
If you're not gonna, it was funny because
Nicholas Hoult, huh?
What was it? Michael Rosenbaum was the Lex Luthor for the Smallville series, and he does a podcast called Inside of You.
Believe me, I know. I was interestingly enough on the drive down to the dance competition. I was listening to his 2022 interview with Nathan Fillion. With the guy.
And so, like Nicholas Hoult did an interview on Inside of You with Michael Rosenbaum, and it was so funny because Richard Gere that was the Lex Luthor in the Christopher Reeves, or who was it?
No, Christopher Reeves was Gene Hackman.
Gene Hackman. Okay, so
we've had Gene Hackman, Kevin Spacey, and
Michael Rosenbaum, and then we had Jesse Eisenberg.
Thank you. That's the one I couldn't think of. Anyway,
it's okay if you didn't, because I don't think any of us do. So. It was so funny because he was sitting in front of a Superman the movie poster signed by Gene Hackman that said to the second best Lex Luthor, and Nicholas Hoult grew up watching Michael Rosenbaum be Lex Luthor,
right?
And so he was quintessentially, and so now he's Lex Luthor. And so I really feel like James Gunn has done a good job with the casting. I think he does a great job with storytelling. This was always going to be his baby, and I feel like what he's focusing on doing is, we saw what he can do in Creature Commandos, and how he can just rip your heartstrings, even with an animated feature that is part of the same universe.
Let me ask you a question, Tony.
Okay.
Have you checked the ID of all of these people to verify that they are not Nazis?
I loved G.I. Robot.
That's exactly what a Nazi would say.
And I love the Discord. I love the Discord that or the discourse that was going on when that episode went, where it was his background, and you see him sitting in the rally, and all of a sudden the thing comes up and you see the symbol, and he's like, oh my. And
right,
it was some people like some people thought he had regret for, like, this was his friend. And I thought it was, no, he said, oh boy. And I'm thinking, I don't think so. I think he was excited.
Oh, like, no, that was his, he was just like, oh boy. Because he knows this is his, well, especially when you see later. Sorry, now we're spoiling Creature Commandos. But again, look, let's just stick a pin in that and just say, so far, James Gunn, aside from the fact, I will admit, Volume 3 is not up to the same level as 1 and 2, but I think it had some very heavy lifting to do, given where the Guardians were at that point and everything going on with Gamora. And, it eventually, I'm sure it all will help lead somewhere else when, Star-Lord returns. Still, I enjoy it, and I still rewatch it, and I laugh, and I enjoy so much of it. I don't know why I'm now apologizing for my comment, but
no,
the whole point is he hasn't let us down yet.
Yeah.
And I'm going to keep investing in this stock until it doesn't pay off.
Oh, absolutely.
Undoubtedly.
And that's the thing. Like I have, it's funny because I got into my nerddom. I got into my fandom, because of the Death of Superman comic. I still have the comic I got when I was a kid in 1990, I think it was. My mom took me to the comic book store because I was struggling to read, and I got the book. I took it out of the plastic wrap, which I'm thankful I did. I have every single extra like bonus item that came in it. I have the Superman armband, which is kind of, it didn't age well in the sense of what, when we would talk about things like what GI Robot was after.
Yeah.
There's like the newspaper article. I have the stickers, the stamp. Like I have everything in pristine condition except for the comic book because I wore it out reading it.
Yeah.
And so I love Superman. I fell in love with Smallville, and I was highly dedicated even after season 7. And so, yeah.
Dude, also, it's amazing all of the different things that have retold that story now from a different perspective. Smallville had their version of Death of Superman, and even Superman and Lois did. And the way they did it was sad, tragic, and amazing. Probably the best depiction we also got of the character. It was
even how they finished
and
it
mind
off.
you, again, I have not watched Superman and Lois, but thanks to TikTok, I've seen almost every pivotal moment of the entire last season, which is the only one that I was just like, no, wait a second, what's going on? And it hooked me in.
And that was the season they brought Lex Luthor in. And Lex Luthor was a full, that's the only other Lex Luthor that I haven't brought up.
Oh yeah.
It was, I forget his name, but it was what's his name on Walking Dead? He was Abraham, I think. But he was phenomenal. He was great. He was menacing. Like I could not, because I liked Abraham in the Walking Dead series. I could not associate that they were the same person, like just the way that
we forgot about John Cryer as well. My gosh.
Man.
Okay, you know what? There's been a lot of Lexus. Lay off.
Yeah.
Like I said, y'all gotta relax. No, I'm kidding. But you do.
Yeah. So I'm excited for it. I think it's gonna be good. Now this is why I brought these two things up, and I figured it was a great way to do a soft episode, because I mean we're only 43 minutes in. We get in now and go right into Netheads if we wanted to, which we probably will. But here's the concept. I feel like we're sometimes too critical on the things that we love. There was a day and time when you would go to the movies and you would watch a movie about your favorite superhero or about your favorite character, and it wouldn't have been great, but you were going to appreciate the heck out of it because it was all you were going to get. You enjoyed it. I remember I loved the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie. I love Secret of the Ooze. A lot of people are divided on that one. But I don't like Turtles in Time, the third movie. But guess what? I watched it because it was Ninja Turtles.
Very good.
The X-Men movies. I cannot tell you, I can't stand X-Men Origins Wolverine, but I've watched it a number of times, even forcing myself to last year when we did the Road to Deadpool Wolverine over on Nisha's YouTube channel. So there are, there is never a time where you can't go back and enjoy it. Listen, Howard the Duck did not age well and is not comic accurate, but I watched the crap out of that as a kid.
Yeah,
there are things, Masters of the Universe, thank God Kevin Smith did what he did with Revelations. I absolutely love that cartoon series. I was a huge Masters of the Universe fan, and I cannot tell you how disappointing that live action film was, but I watched it. And if it was on television, I watched it.
You're talking about the Dolph Lundgren one?
Yes, I am.
I
And even
have
at the end where
at
the end where Skeletor came back, it's like, I'll be back. It's like, really, you're gonna do that? Okay, no, you're not. But that was the thing. Like you enjoy those things. We had some great Blade movies. Some weren't so great, but mostly it was solid. We had the Punisher series with whatever his name is. I forgot what it was. The Punisher movie. The only thing I can remember from the Punisher movie was that John Panette, the overweight comedian, was in that movie. And I had discovered him years after I watched him in the movie. Didn't realize how funny he was. And then you had like Warzone. You watched it. Spawn was not a good movie, but you watched it because it was the closest thing you were going to get to getting what you enjoyed on the screen. And so, yeah, we are overly critical, I think, in this day and time about things. We are willing to nitpick, and I guess it's also kind of our fault for being social media content creators, or opening up the discourse, because there is a place. And I think this is also why there are so many like really loud, bad opinions in the world, not just in entertainment, because there is a ecosphere on the internet where we can sound off, and somebody who may have never seen it before the internet now has somebody that they go, oh, I agree with that. It's like the Tates of the world and all this other stuff where you can identify with the bad mentality and bad opinion of the people that are around you. So it's one of those things where we have to be very careful not to be super critical. We can say, I didn't like this part, but that doesn't mean just because they did use a wide angle lens on our Superman while he's flying and he doesn't look, in a muscly suit with no underwear like Henry Cavill did, that we have to say this movie is going to be trash. And if you loved Man of Steel, and I did love Man of Steel, I absolutely loved Man of Steel, that doesn't mean you can't love this movie, because the idea is you can go into anything and find joy in it. But if you're not wanting to find joy, you won't find it. And that's my 10 cents. That's all I said. Thank you for coming to this TED Talk. I will see you guys next time. And that's all I have to say. What do you think, Will?
I got to ask you one question. I'm curious.
Yes.
I should save this for netheads. Don't want to. But speaking of fandoms, and what we've been through, like to date, because we've lived through a quantum mania world. I'll just say, okay. Do you already have your tickets for Captain America 4?
I don't.
I was wondering, because honestly, I don't either yet. And it's
I will go see it. Yeah, I will go see it. I am considering a popcorn bucket because there's lots of options.
Dude. I don't know which one is the one that is just the bucket that pops up out of the back of the shield.
The collapsible.
Yeah, is that the AMC?
I think that's the AMC one where it's got like the shield. It's a shield.
Yeah, that one's going to be very tempting.
That one's cool. I like that one. The other one that I liked was the bucket that is I think it's a shield, but it's got the cup that has the retractable wings. That attaches to the side of it. I think that's kind of cool.
That's a bit much for me.
But I don't like the
shield one is great because you can hang it on your wall and then be a co-host of one of these shows.
Yeah. So if you're wanting to, join us on a Fandoms or whatever time, just go get yourself a Captain America popcorn bucket, put it on your wall, and send us a picture. Send a picture to itsfanbox at gmail.com, and we would love to invite you on. You might have a better opinion than the two of us do.
There you go.
So
I just thought that was a funny observation, because I'm in the same boat. For me, it's completely different. Now, my strategy has changed, and it's not because I'm not worried about spoilers. I just think I can filter social media better. And we're at this point where a tradition is now breaking, like all the way up until at least guaranteed Endgame. My daughter, Emily, wanted to go see the early showing of the movie with me. That doesn't happen anymore. So now it's kind of like I'm regulated to Sunday morning, and guaranteed I can more than likely get a ticket. But I just, that drop off in urgency. I mean, you remember No Way Home?
Oh yeah.
Like just the turmoil of things crashing and not rolling over well, and like now it's just like I'm like, Sunday morning, I'll get a ticket. The other interesting thing about this movie, though, that I also thought about a little earlier, even though we were kind of promised this interconnectedness between the Disney Plus shows and the movies, if you think about it, it requires very little explanation to get Sam Wilson from the end of Endgame and into Captain America Brave New World, because it's like, okay, well, he's got the shield, looks like he got an upgraded costume. You don't even need to worry or remember that white one from the TV show. Forget about it.
See, I think that's where I think Marvel has to go moving forward, because a lot of people were talking about how the MCU is too big and too composited. You can't really enjoy it without doing all the back work. You don't have to do that with Captain America Brave New World, because it plays directly in from Incredible Hulk. It plays directly in from the end of Endgame. The Disney Plus series, I do highly recommend. I loved Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and
I enjoyed it too.
But it's bonus, and it's like if you get hooked on Brave New World, guess what? We got something more for you. Come on, kid. The first one's free.
If you think about it, Tony, what they did is they said, okay, we did some things in the Falcon and Winter Soldier. I don't know if this is going to translate to the movie, to the theater world, and the Marvels taught us this isn't going to help carry over into something else. So what? Let's just take the only important thing from this show and put it in Thunderbolts asterisk. Let's just do that. With US Agent.
That's exactly what I'm going to start saying from now on, is just Thunderbolts asterisk. Like, I haven't thought about that. Yeah.
Thunderbolts asterisk. Yeah. It makes it so much longer to say the damn title.
It's like Ant-Man Quantumania.
You know what? You're right. You're very, very right, sir. But that's all I got to say. I just thought that was an interesting little. Oh, you know what? I just realized that it's coming out pretty soon here, and then there's Thunderbolts. No, I only looked at tickets. Interestingly enough, the shields did fall into the popcorn buckets did fall into my periphery. I'm like,
maybe. Well, it is funny because I have a shelf that is dedicated to not just popcorn buckets, but it's the popcorn buckets, and then some of my friends. My brother-in-law sent me one, and one of my TikTok followers sent me the other of the drinking cups that they have at Avengers Campus. So I have the ooze container from Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania that helped them understand the translations. And then I had bought on Amazon
you just drank me.
Yeah. I the clear acrylic like milk carton looking cups. And then they had one at Avengers Campus that had like the strap but it had all of the artwork that was on the one that Rocket drank in the beginning of the movie. And so my brother-in-law bought that for me, and I absolutely love that. And so those are sitting there. I love having things that are kind of like props. And so for me, you can't tell.
Dude, right down here is the only one that I got while we were there is the Pym. Whatever.
The beaker.
Yeah, the beaker.
Yep.
From
I want one of those really bad. I will say, when my kid decided that instead of going to Disneyland, he wanted to go to Disney World, I was a bit disappointed because I was thinking this will be my chance to go to California and finally go to Avengers Campus. But that's okay.
Well, if I get there before you, I'll
time.
I'll afford myself one more drink in the name of in the name of your science,
in the name of friendship, and it would just be in the whole package of everything else that's supposed to come this way, dude. You're gonna have to like take a mortgage out to get that package done. So,
I don't want to talk about it.
Well, with that said, thank you guys so much for watching tonight. If you want to continue to hear us talk about everything and nothing all at once, be sure, not the movie. I just realized that, not the movie. But if you want us to hear us talk clear nonsense, but techie, I would highly recommend you go over to Netheads on YouTube and watch us in just a little bit. And if you go to the Smodcast website, you might see a beautiful face on there.
Yes, mine is there.
Yeah. Yeah. Thanks. Okay. But yeah, so I'm now officially part of the furniture of the Smodcast website. I feel good about that. Thank you,
dude. I always come on here and I'm just so dumb. I'm just so stupid. I just like it's in some ways I'm just like I want to put together a quality product with you, but at the same time, I'm like, how many limits can I just push with Tony? I gotta relax.
It's
I'm
okay.
sorry.
It's
I'm
okay.
apologizing here now in front of everyone. I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. You're
Thanks, man.
absolutely fine.
Thank
No,
you.
I like it. But with that said, we're going to go ahead and wrap up here on Fandoms. We will be back in, I believe, 2 weeks. We are back on schedule. We're going to be, hopefully, we may even have somebody with us to talk about something. And if you are interested in talking about your fandom here or on anything else on It's Fanbox, be sure to reach out to us. Again, it's fanbox@gmail.com. We'd love to hear about you, hear what you're doing. Send us a picture of your background, especially if there's a Captain America shield in the background. And we will talk to you guys in 2 weeks about, the stuff that you love. But with that said, Will, say goodnight.
Good night.
And we'll see you next time.